When I find the show in times of trouble, a sudden idea comes to me. Reading off a list, top 10. And now that I am reading this list, it occurs to you that I can't read. Going back to school soon, top 10. Top 10, top 10, top 10, top 10. A list full of nonsense, top 10. Although it may be horrible, there is still a chance that it's funny. Maybe it's wishful thinking, we will see. Top 10, top 10, top 10, top 10. Reading off a list, top 10. Yes, we are back, my friends. And it is the top 10 here on That Shed Show. I am your DJ, Uncle Bobby, or, well, and on here, Uncle Robbie. Jen says, Love Muffin is in the chat. That's my Jen. She says, hi. I says, hello. Hello, Jen. How are you, sweetie pie? Joe Seeker, of course, my partner in crime, will probably be here. I hung up on him because he wasn't in front of the Skype, and I had the Skype on, and he was in the background, so... And, his boy, I could hear his boy was over and stuff. So I figured we'll start without him, and then hopefully he calls in. And if he doesn't, it's whatever. I talk to him every day, so it's no big deal. And, I'll probably get off after this anyway, so whatever. Well, I just wanted to do one more show. And I found a very good top 10 list. Of course, the top 10 list is usually brought to you, and it's no different in this case. It's brought to you by top10s.net. That is the number one site you want to go to if you're looking for a top 10 list. I promise you. It's never failed me. I mean, sometimes it fails me if I use it every day. But I've learned to not do a top 10 more than once a week. They update it every day, I think, but, it gets kind of lame. You can get to the good ones if you wait a few days, a week or so. You can, you can find some better stuff. Jen says, "I'm watching the new South Park." Ooh, Jen. So that means you have me turned down. Uh-oh. All right. So anyway, let's get started while I have peace and quiet and no one's. This is That Shed Show, but I guess it should be called That Bedroom Show because I'm in my bedroom right now because it's just too goddamn cold to go out there. So we're in the house. The top 10 list is top 10 unusual prisons. This sounds like a treat. Number 10, the Holiday Prison in Norway. If you're going to do time, for the love of God, do it in Bastoy, with almost no security and ample leisure facilities. You'd be forgiven for thinking this remote Norwegian prison was a holiday center or centra, whatever it says. But you'd be wrong. Bastoy's houses murderers, rapists, and all sorts of nasty-ass people you don't want to imagine having a good time. Yet, rooms come complete with writing desks and flat-screen TVs. The windows are barless, and professional cookery courses are available in the prison kitchens. Huh. Justice in Norway sure seems to lack, how shall we put this, justice. To be fair, there is a lot of reasoning behind this. Bastoy is reserved for bad dudes who are showering promise with rehabilitation. The idea is to bring them here and give them responsibilities that will ease them back into the real world. And part of that involves them looking after baby cows. You read that right in Norway. Killers are given adorable animals to look after. Weirdest of all, it really works. But Bastoy has the lowest reoffending rate in the world of Europe. You see? You see? LOL, I'm listening. Yeah, you better be, Jen. You better be. So there you go. That's Norway's prison for you. Number 9 is the Dark Knight Rises prison. Rwanda. Is this real? Remember the prison Bane chucked Batman in halfway through Dark Knight Rises? I sure do. The one that was basically hell on earth. Well, meet the real life equivalent. Oh, so it's like the opposite of number 10. Gitarama City Prison in Rwanda is a little more than a dusty hole in the ground. Jesus Christ. Unfortunately, that hole is currently filled to over 20 times its attended capacity. Oh my God. The result has been all sorts of indescribable misery. Mass infection, routinely break out, and starvation is not uncommon. There have even been reports of inmate cannibalizing. Oh my God, they're eating each other just to stay alive. And that's before we move on to general conditions. Standing room only, human waste covering on the floor, and inmates' limbs, oh my God, actively decaying on their bodies. If there's one place on earth you don't want to be, it's here. Now, here's the thing. Now, number 10. It's pretty lush. You know what I mean? If you're a first-time offender, you go, oh, well, I'm in Norway. I'll be okay. It's nice there. But then they treat it to where they give you responsibility and everything, and you tend not to, want to go back, and you wind up being, they say the rate's pretty good, where they usually become, what is it, what's the word, something of society, they become worthwhile to society. But their first time prison rate is probably high, like kids doing knucklehead shit and creating crime, doing crime and shit, and that's probably high because they know their prison's sweet. They've heard around the block, but then they snap out of it. But then again, over here, on number 9, they're like, oh yeah, well, they're bad, so they're good. The bad ones, no matter you could, the thing with criminals is lifetime criminals. The sentence could be death, and there not necessarily going to stop it. But those who aren't necessarily long-time criminals might think twice because they don't want to be thrown in a fucking hole. So their rate for first-time prisoners, first-time criminals, are probably low. But then, if they ever get out of that place, they're probably thrown back in the hole if they ever made it out alive. I don't know. I would think they'd be like, no, hell no, I'm not going back to that hole. I don't know. Don't you laugh at me, butt munch. Jen just says in the chat. Number 8 is the custom-built prison. Pitcairn Island. We're talking about top 10 unusual prisons. And I don't know, I don't want to read all these, but I got to figure out what this is. The Pitcairn Island are an infinitely remote chain of islands in the empty wastes of the Pacific, inhabited by as few as 60 people. In 2004, it was revealed that 1 in 10 of the islanders had been engaging in some seriously unpleasant activities with underage girls. Oh my God. And justice immediately realized it was stuck. See, Pitcairn doesn't really have a judiciary. The inhabitants are descendants of the Bounty Mountaineers, and no one was sure whose jurisdiction the islands came under. Eventually, Britain stepped up and agreed to prosecute, at which point it became apparent the Pitcairn had nothing resembling a prison, and they'd have to build one. So, in 2006, the UK flew out a bunch of contractors and jailers who then had to build a prison from scratch. Incarcerate 10% of the islanders, oh my God, and then guard them until they were released a few years later. Currently, the islanders plan to turn the now empty prison into a cafe or a boat club. A move which kind of seems to lack foresight. That's crazy. Why don't they just take prisoners from around that area off the island and put them on that island like an Alcatraz or something? Jesus Christ. Why waste a perfectly good jail? You know what I'm saying? Number 7, the prison with its own golf course. Oh, that's ridiculous. Are you kidding me? Louisiana State Penitentiary is by and large an unremarkable place to serve time. It's violent, has the chair, and the history is brutal. However, it also manages to chuck something the inmates' way that most prisons would never dream of. A freaking golf course. No joke. LSP is probably the only maximum security prison on Earth with a custom-built golf course. And that's not all. Inmates get the building, has its own radio station, printing press, TV studio, and airstrip. Basically, it's like a goddamn fully functioned city. Only one absolutely crawling with violent criminals. Oh, well, that's pretty much every goddamn city anyway. In other words, it's sort of like a future New York and Escape from New York, only with more golf. Good times, good times. All right, we'll try to read one or two more before we go to a break. Number 6, the prison with its own mental disorder. What? Imagine prison so inhumane, so physiologically brutal in its treatment of prisoners that it has its own syndrome named after it. Now, where do you think such a disturbing place could possibly exist? Somewhere like Russia. Of course. Number 5, the Two-Main Prison. Sark is a tiny island between the UK and France. The population is less than 600, and it was the last place in Europe to drop a feudal system in favor of democracy. Blah, 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 blah. So whatever, that one's not too interesting. So we're doing the top 10 unusual prisons, which I found